Hello everybody, I'm Richard Gon of Work to Live podcast version. So, as title shows, what I'd like to tell you is that you live because others live. About which I will tell you some stories. So, as title shows, maybe some of you or most of you have found that title philosophic, which means, you live because others live. So, if others do not live, whether it's possible to say you live or not. So which is a question. So to start with, it's meaningless, or it's not worth thinking about such a thing, because so even so for example, particularly in this situation where the pandemic of coronavirus has lasted, so it's still I'm sorry for this sound, but it's still in the time of the pandemic of coronavirus, and I'm recording this episode in the beginning of February in 2022. So in my country, so maybe the peak of the number of the coronavirus hasn't come yet, maybe. So maybe we are, or this country is on the peak, on the prime of the number of the coronavirus, on the number of the patients of the coronavirus. I'm sorry, it's impossible to count or calculate. It's impossible to count or calculate the number of coronaviruses, but it's impossible to count or calculate the number of the patients of coronavirus. And so maybe I don't know whether the number of the patients is the highest or not. Anyway, so what I'd like to talk about is that you live because others live. So what I'd like you to know with this title is that I'm sorry. So maybe I should pose an example before for your understanding. And why I'm telling you is because, for example, maybe most of you are native speakers of English languages. So let me change the topic from what I have just talked about into studying languages. So anyway, what I'd like to tell you is think about studying foreign languages. Anyway, so most of you are native speakers of English language, and I'm sure about this point. And if you to understand the difference between your mother tongue and other languages, or if you'd like to understand your mother tongue more deeply than this present time, so I think it's necessary to study foreign languages, and this is my case. But so almost maybe in this present time, almost all non-native speakers of English language study English language, which is why non-native speakers understand differences between English language and their mother tongues, which is my case. So in my case, there are many differences between English language and my mother tongue, because my mother tongue is also English is used as a mother tongue in an insular nation named Great Britain or United Kingdom, and my country is also an insular nation located to the east of China. So anyway, so what I'd like you to know this time is that of course there are many mistakes, not mistakes, but of course there are many differences between English language and my mother tongue. But there are some shared points. Being different in every aspect is a kind of difficult. So what I'd like you to know in this time is that English has many exceptions. I mean, English has many linguistic exceptions, and my mother tongue also has many linguistic exceptions. Do you know what I mean? So what I'd like you to know in this time is that, for example, in the case of foreign languages spoken in European continent, for example, and in this episode, I'd like to pose pose an example of Chinese language. So this is what a Chinese teacher said. But Japanese language has a lot of exceptions, and I can understand it because I have learned Chinese language, and of course, comparing the number of exceptions between Japanese language and Chinese language. So as a Chinese teacher says, yeah, Japanese language has a lot of exceptions, and this is a case to English language, because to start with, English is not a phonetic language. So, but other European languages, for example, French, German, and in some cases Russian, they are those languages I have just posed, or I have just said are phonetic languages. I have studied Russian language, but Russian language is generally speaking, Russian language is a phonetic language, which means pronunciation is shown on the spelling of those words, or while English words do not tell others their own pronunciations. So pronunciations and written spellings are different to each other. In some cases they are the same, but in some cases they are different. It's up to each word in the case of English language. But such a thing is, but when I was studying English language, and when English was just one foreign language for me, I couldn't realize that English has many exceptions, while English was not a phonetic language. But after studying in my case, for example, so Chinese language and Russian language, I could realize that English is not a phonetic language, and English has many exceptions. So, which is why I didn't realize that English was I have realized that studying English and English language itself is really difficult, but I couldn't figure out the causes or the elements which made studying English really difficult. So by studying Chinese language and Russian language, I could realize that English is really difficult language for me, because for non-native speakers of English language, because English has many linguistic exceptions, and English is not a phonetic language. So being not phonetic language is a difficulty for non-native speakers, and being a phonetic language is a kind of advantageous for non-native speakers studying that language, which is what I could realize by studying Russian language and Chinese language. So coming back to the original topic of this episode, what I'd like you to know in this time is that, so you live because other people live. So by using this title, I'd like you to understand is that English is difficult, or English is a language like this, because how to understand English language, or how to understand your mother tongue is to study other languages, which is what I'd like you to know this time. So I will tell you again. So to understand the English language more, so I would like you to understand the English language, I recommend you studying other languages different from English language, or if possible, so studying 2 or more foreign languages is recommendable for you, which is also I would like you to know this time. So that's it. Thank you very much for your listening. See you.